Sometimes love isn't loud. It doesn't always come with grand gestures, dramatic declarations, or the perfect words at the perfect time. Sometimes the truest form of love is quiet, gentle, hidden in the everyday moments that most people overlook. And more often than not, when a man truly loves you, he won't always say it outright, but you'll feel it through the things he does, the way he looks at you, the way he chooses you in silence over and over again. It's easy to assume that love has to be loud to be real, that unless he says, "I love you" every day or writes you poetry, it isn't serious. But the truth is, some men speak through actions, through attention, through small, consistent signs that, when pieced together, form a much deeper truth. They may not be the most expressive with words, but their heart shows itself in how they treat you when you're tired, how they notice when you're sad, how they remember the little things that matter to you, even when you've forgotten them yourself. You might miss these signs if you're only listening for the words. You might think he doesn't care or that he's holding back, but really, he's loving you in the only way he knows how. And sometimes, that love is more real than any love that's ever been shouted from rooftops. Because it's not for show, it's not for attention, it's just real. So before you doubt his feelings, take a closer look. Watch how he shows up when you least expect it. Notice the way he listens, the way he checks in, the way he gives without being asked. There's a whole language of love hidden in these small, quiet moments. And if you know how to read them, you'll see that he's been telling you how much he cares all along. In this video, we're going to explore 15 powerful and silent ways a man shows his love, without ever having to say the words. If he's doing even a few of these things, don't second guess his feelings. Sometimes, actions whisper what words can't scream. And sometimes, love doesn't need to be heard to be felt. So let's begin. Here are the 15 quiet signs that he loves you more than you think. Watch closely. His heart might already be speaking. 1. He remembers the small details you mention. When a man remembers the small details you mention, it's never accidental. It means he's truly listening, not just hearing you. He holds on to the tiny pieces of information you casually drop during conversations, because, to him, they matter. Because you matter. You might talk about a random snack you like, a place you want to visit someday, or how you feel about rainy mornings. And days, weeks, or even months later, he brings it up. Not to impress you, but because it's stayed with him. He stores these details like little treasures in his mind, quietly collecting the things that make you feel seen and understood. You don't need to remind him of your coffee order, your favorite song, or the story you once told about your childhood. He already knows. He already remembered. Not because he tried, but because it was never forgettable to him in the first place. That's what makes it powerful. Real love doesn't always show up with big gestures or loud declarations. Sometimes it shows up in a man silently remembering the kind of flowers you said you liked, or the way you said you feel anxious in crowded places. It shows when he takes care of things without you asking, because he already knows what makes you comfortable, what brings you joy, and what might break your heart. There is no performance in his actions. He doesn't do it for praise. He does it because caring about someone means paying attention to what they say, even when they think no one's really listening. So when he remembers what you said in passing, what you barely even remember saying yourself, that's not just memory. That's love showing itself, quietly but clearly. 2. He checks in just to see if you're okay. When a man checks in just to see if you're okay, it's a quiet but powerful sign of care. He's not calling or texting because he needs something or because there's a plan to make. He's reaching out simply because you crossed his mind and he wants to make sure you're all right. That kind of attention can seem small, almost ordinary, but it's not. It's a reflection of emotional presence, of someone who thinks about how you're doing, even when you're not around. It may come in the form of a short message, a quick call, or even a simple just checking on you. There's no agenda behind it. He's not trying to start a deep conversation or ask for anything in return. He just wants to know if you're okay. That, in itself, is rare. Most people reach out when they need something or when there's a reason, but he does it without any reason other than the fact that he genuinely cares. He's quietly telling you, "You're on my mind, and I want to know you're doing all right." This kind of behavior is consistent and subtle. You might notice it when you've been unusually quiet or when you're having a long day. Somehow, he picks up on the energy, even without you saying a word, and he acts on it, not with big gestures, but with simple presence. It's in these moments that you see love in its most honest form, not loud, not dramatic, just someone choosing to show up for you in the middle of a regular day, because your peace matters to him. And even if he never says it out loud, his actions speak clearly. He cares more than he's letting on. 3. He gets jealous but hides it. When a man gets jealous but hides it, it's a silent confession of how much he feels for you. He doesn't lash out or try to control you. He simply withdraws a little, goes quiet, or changes the subject when something triggers that hidden feeling. He may smile and nod, but inside, there's a storm of emotions he's carefully managing. Because deep down, he doesn't want to seem insecure or make you uncomfortable. He just cares, more than he knows how to say. This quiet jealousy isn't about possession, it's about fear. The fear of losing something he hasn't even fully claimed, or something he's still trying to protect. When you talk about another guy who made you laugh or gave you attention, he listens, but part of him clenches inside. Not because he doubts you, but because he wishes he could be enough to never make you look elsewhere. He hides that emotion because he respects you, because he doesn't want to come across as dramatic or pushy, but it shows, sometimes in his silence, sometimes in the way he glances away, sometimes in how he quickly changes topics. He's trying to stay composed, but that quiet jealousy tells you he's already emotionally invested. He cares about how others treat you, how close someone stands, how often someone texts you. And even though he may act unbothered, deep inside, it touches something vulnerable in him. That vulnerability isn't a weakness. It's love trying to stay strong while holding itself back. So when you notice the shift in his tone, the silence after a name is mentioned, or the way he suddenly pulls away just a little, it's not indifference. It's quiet jealousy. And in that silence, he's already said too much. 4. He offers help without being asked. When a man offers help without being asked, it's one of the purest ways he shows his love. He notices when you're overwhelmed, tired, or quietly struggling, even when you try to hide it. He doesn't wait for you to reach out. He just steps in, gently and naturally, like it's the most obvious thing to do, not because he wants to be the hero, not because he wants credit, but because your ease matters to him. Your happiness, your peace, your comfort. These are things he silently prioritizes. You might be carrying groceries, juggling too many tasks, or just having a mentally heavy day. And before you say a word, he's already there, lifting the weight, running the errand, handling something you didn't even realize was stressing you out. This kind of help is thoughtful. It's not grand or loud. It's in the little things. Fixing something that's broken, staying by your side when you're sick, or just taking initiative when things get messy. He doesn't ask, "Do you need me?" He already knows you do, even if you'd never admit it. His help isn't about obligation. It's about choice. It's about caring enough to notice what needs to be done and doing it. Not because he has to, but because he wants to. Because when someone matters to you, their load becomes your concern. Their stress becomes your signal to act. So when he quietly shows up and makes your life a little easier, don't overlook it. That's love, not in words, but in action. And those actions, given without asking, speak louder than any love confession ever could. 5. He listens carefully when you talk. When a man listens carefully when you talk, it's more than just hearing your words. It's understanding your heart. He's not distracted. He's not waiting for his turn to speak. He's fully present, absorbing every word, every pause, every emotion between your sentences. He's not just focused on what you're saying, but how you're saying it, your tone, your expressions, your silences. That kind of listening comes from a place of deep care. It shows he values what's on your mind, even the things you think are too small or unimportant. You don't have to repeat yourself with him. He remembers what you said last week, last month, even in passing. And when he brings those things up later, it's not to impress you. It's because he held on to it, because it mattered to you, it mattered to him. He asks follow-up questions, not because he's curious about the facts, but because he wants to stay close to your world. He wants to understand what moves you, what worries you, what makes you light up. In a world where people are often too busy, too distracted, or too self-absorbed to truly listen, his quiet attention stands out. He may not always have perfect advice or grand responses, but he gives you space to speak freely, without judgment or interruption. And that's rare. That's love showing up in one of its simplest yet most powerful forms. Silent, focused, and present. Because when someone listens, not just with their ears, but with their heart, they're not just hearing you, they're holding you. He tries to make you laugh when you're sad. When a man tries to make you laugh when you're sad, it's his way of reaching for your heart when words aren't enough. He sees your silence, your heavy eyes, or the weight in your voice, and instead of pulling away, he leans in with light. Not to ignore your sadness, but to gently remind you that joy still exists, even in moments of pain. He doesn't force you to talk if you're not ready. He doesn't ask for explanations. He just wants to lift a little bit of that burden, even for a moment. He might act silly, crack a quiet joke, or send you something random that he knows will make you smile. Sometimes he makes fun of himself just to hear your laugh. It's not about being funny. It's about creating space for lightness in your darkest hours. He knows your laugh, and he treasures it. He knows how different it sounds when it's real, how it softens your eyes and changes your whole presence. And when that laugh comes back, even briefly, it feels like a victory for him. Not because he needs validation, but because he just wants you to feel okay again. His attempts may not always be perfect. You might not laugh out loud, but you'll notice the effort. You'll feel the intention behind his actions. He's not fixing your pain, but he's refusing to let it swallow you. That's love in disguise, the kind that doesn't pressure or demand, but quietly shows up with laughter, reminding you that you're not alone. And sometimes, the simplest form of love is someone trying to protect your smile, even when the world gives you every reason to lose it. 7. He notices changes in your mood. When a man notices changes in your mood, it means he's paying close attention, not just to your words, but to your energy. You don't have to say you're upset. You don't need to explain why you're quiet. He just knows. Maybe it's the way you answer with shorter sentences, or how your smile doesn't quite reach your eyes. Maybe it's the slight shift in your tone, or the way you suddenly go quiet in the middle of a conversation. He sees it, even if you think you're hiding it well. He won't always call it out directly. Sometimes he'll just sit beside you longer than usual. Sometimes he'll give you space without making you feel alone. And other times he'll ask a gentle, "Are you okay?" Not out of habit, but from genuine concern. That question, though simple, comes from a place of deep emotional awareness. He's tuned into you, noticing what others overlook, sensing the changes even you haven't spoken about. He doesn't need a dramatic breakdown to understand that something's off. Your smallest shifts tell him something, and he listens. He might send a song, crack a soft joke, or just stay quiet. Because sometimes presence is more powerful than advice. That's what makes his attention feel like love. It's not loud. It's not pushy. It's quiet, calm, and deeply observant. This kind of noticing doesn't come from obligation. It comes from care, real care, the kind that studies you not because it has to, but because it wants to understand when your heart is heavy. And in that silent understanding, he's showing you just how much you mean, without ever needing to say the words. 8. He remembers important dates related to you. When a man remembers important dates related to you, it's a quiet act of devotion. These dates may not be grand or obvious. Maybe it's your birthday, the day you started a new job, the anniversary of someone you lost, or even just a random day you once told him meant something to you. And while others might forget or overlook those moments, he doesn't. He keeps them with him, tucked into his memory, because they're connected to you. And if it matters to you, then it matters to him. He might not always make a big scene about it. Sometimes he'll just send a message at midnight. Sometimes he'll surprise you with something small but meaningful. And other times, he'll just quietly acknowledge the day, offering comfort, support, or celebration, whatever the moment calls for. But his consistency speaks louder than any gift or grand gesture. It says, "I remember because you matter. I care enough to carry your timeline alongside mine." He doesn't need reminders. He doesn't wait for you to bring it up. His memory is shaped by emotion, not obligation. It's not about marking a calendar. It's about marking a heart. He holds on to your milestones, not for the sake of showing off, but because they've become part of his world too. And when he shows up on those days, not just physically, but emotionally, he's telling you in the most subtle way possible, "I see you, I honor your story, and I'm here for every chapter." That kind of remembering isn't common. It's not learned, it's felt. And when a man chooses to remember your dates, he's not just recalling time, he's respecting the meaning behind it. That's not memory, that's love. 9. He gets quiet when you talk about other guys. When a man gets quiet when you talk about other guys, it's not always about jealousy. It's about how deeply he feels for you. He may not flinch or show it on his face, but something shifts inside him the moment you mention another man, especially someone who made you smile or impressed you. He becomes silent, not because he's uninterested, but because he's guarding his own emotions. He doesn't want to say the wrong thing, doesn't want to make you uncomfortable, and most of all, he doesn't want you to know just how much it affects him. That quietness is loaded. It's where his insecurities meet his restraint. He wants to ask questions, wants to know if this other guy is important to you, wants to tell you how much better he could treat you, but he doesn't. Instead, he listens, or at least pretends to. But in that moment, he's not fully present in the conversation anymore. He's wrapped up in his own feelings, wondering if he still has a place in your heart, or if someone else is starting to take it. He stays quiet because he respects you. He doesn't want to come off as possessive or controlling, but his silence says everything his words won't. It says he cares, that your attention means more to him than you probably realize. And even though he tries to hide it, that stillness in his reaction is his way of revealing what he's too proud or too afraid to admit. He wants you, and the thought of someone else having your heart quietly breaks his. 10. He puts your needs before his own. When a man puts your needs before his own, it's one of the clearest signs of unspoken love. He doesn't make a show of it. He doesn't expect applause or attention. He simply chooses you, again and again, often in quiet ways you might not even notice at first. He'll give up his comfort, his time, even his pride, just to make sure you're okay. Whether it's something as small as letting you have the last bite, or as big as rearranging his schedule for you, he does it without hesitation, because your happiness naturally becomes his priority. It's not about sacrificing everything or losing himself. It's about willingly shifting focus. If you're tired, he slows down. If you're upset, he listens. If you're sick, he shows up. And if you're struggling, he becomes your silent support system. He doesn't wait for you to ask. He senses what you need and steps in, not out of duty, but because it brings him peace to see you at ease. Your smile becomes his goal. Your comfort becomes his mission. He may not use the words, "I love you," but he lives them. In every choice that puts your well-being above his convenience, he's speaking a language deeper than words. Love isn't always loud. It's often found in the quiet sacrifices no one else sees. And when a man quietly chooses your needs over his own, not just once, but consistently, it means you're not just someone in his life. You've become part of the life he's willing to shape around you. That's not weakness. That's not obligation. That's love in its purest, strongest form. 11. He supports your dreams and goals. When a man supports your dreams and goals, it's a deep and steady sign that he sees your future as something worth investing in. He doesn't just listen politely when you talk about your ambitions. He truly believes in them, even when you have doubts yourself. He pays attention to what excites you, what drives you, and what you hope to achieve. And instead of shrinking away, he steps forward to walk beside you. He wants to see you grow, not because it benefits him, but because your happiness, your success, your fulfillment genuinely matter to him. He may offer encouragement when you feel discouraged or remind you of your potential when you forget it. He celebrates your progress, no matter how small, and refuses to let you give up on yourself. And when challenges come, he doesn't disappear. He stands with you, holding space for your fears without letting them consume you. His support isn't about doing things for you. It's about being the steady presence that keeps you going when things get tough. He may stay up late while you work, help you practice for something important, or simply offer quiet reassurance when you're on the edge of quitting. What matters is that he doesn't compete with your dreams. He respects them. He doesn't see your success as a threat. He sees it as something to cheer for. That kind of support is rare. It's not loud or dramatic. It shows up in gentle pushes, silent belief, and consistent presence. And when a man supports your dreams like that, without making it about him, he's already made a powerful decision to love you in a way that lifts you higher, not holds you back. 12. He makes time for you, no matter how busy he is. When a man makes time for you, no matter how busy he is, it's a quiet declaration of how important you are to him. Everyone is busy. Life gets overwhelming. Schedules pile up. Responsibilities demand attention. But when someone truly cares, they don't hide behind excuses. They create space for you, even in the middle of chaos. Not because they have nothing else to do, but because you matter enough to pause for. It doesn't always mean hours of conversation or elaborate plans. Sometimes it's just a short call during lunch, a message in the middle of a hectic day, or showing up when it's least convenient. Those moments may seem small, but they're full of meaning. They show that even in the middle of everything, he still thinks of you first. He still wants to stay connected. He still chooses you over and over. He doesn't wait until he's free to check in or see you. He adjusts, prioritizes, and sometimes sacrifices sleep or comfort just to hear your voice, see your face, or be near you. That effort is never random. It's intentional. It's love choosing consistency. Because in truth, time is the most precious thing anyone can give. And when a man gives it freely, despite having none to spare, it speaks louder than any grand gesture. You never have to wonder where you stand with someone who makes time for you. His actions answer every question. And even if he never says the words directly, each moment he carves out of a full life just to be with you is a quiet way of saying, "You are worth everything I don't have time for. But I still choose you anyway." 13. He compliments you in subtle ways. When a man compliments you in subtle ways, it's often more meaningful than any loud or obvious praise. He doesn't shower you with constant flattery or say things just to impress you. Instead, he notices the little things, the way your eyes light up when you talk about something you love, the calm in your voice when you're at peace, or the way you carry yourself even on difficult days. His compliments are woven into conversations, tucked between sentences, and offered with genuine warmth, not performance. He might say you make things feel easier, or that you have a way of making people feel heard. He might mention how he likes the way you think, or how your presence brings calm to a room. These aren't the kind of compliments you'd hear from just anyone. They come from someone who's paying close attention, someone who sees more than just the surface. He may not always say you're beautiful outright, but the way he looks at you when you're not trying, the way he quietly admires your laugh, your drive, your strength, that's his way of telling you. Subtle compliments are love in disguise. They're soft, intentional, and sometimes even shy. He may not want to make it too obvious, but his words will find a way to reach you, even in quiet forms. When a man sees you clearly and chooses to let you know, gently, without needing the spotlight, it's not just about admiration, it's about love, wrapped in observation and delivered with quiet respect. Because to him, everything about you is worth noticing, even the parts you don't realize are shining. 14. He includes you in his future plans. When a man includes you in his future plans, it's one of the most telling signs that he sees you as more than just a passing part of his life. He doesn't have to make grand declarations or promises. It's in the way he speaks about next year, someday, or even when we, instead of when I. You'll notice it in his casual sentences, the vacations he wants to take, the house he dreams of buying, the kind of life he hopes to build, and you're always part of that picture. He might talk about career moves and mention how they'd affect both of you. He might bring up where he'd like to live and ask how you'd feel about it. He doesn't talk about the future in isolation. He makes it a shared vision, even when the details are uncertain. That's because, in his heart, he's already made space for you. You're not just someone he's with now, you're someone he's imagining by his side later too. He doesn't force it or try to rush anything. He just naturally includes you, the same way someone talks about the people they know will still be there years down the line. It could be simple, like planning a trip together next season, or deeper, like asking how many kids you'd want someday. The key is, he's already thinking long term, and he can't picture that time without you in it. This kind of inclusion is love that's growing roots. It's subtle but strong, quiet but steady. And even if he hasn't said forever out loud, every time he talks about tomorrow with you in it, he's showing you exactly what's in his heart. Commitment, intention, and a quiet promise that he doesn't want to walk into the future without you. 15. He looks at you when you're not looking. When a man looks at you when you're not looking, it's a quiet moment that reveals everything he might not be saying out loud. It's not just a glance, it's a gaze filled with meaning, with emotion, with unspoken truth. He watches you when you're distracted, when you're laughing with others, when you're simply being yourself. And in those moments, there's no performance. You're not trying to impress anyone. You're just you. That's when he sees you the most clearly, and that's when he can't help but look. It's a look that lingers, one that carries softness and intensity at the same time. He studies the way you move, how you smile, how your hands move when you talk. It's not just physical attraction. It's fascination. It's admiration. It's the way someone looks at someone they feel deeply for, someone they quietly treasure. And he does it when he thinks you won't notice, because in that privacy, he's not afraid to feel fully. That's when the walls come down. He might quickly look away when you catch him, or he might smile like it's no big deal. But that stolen moment says everything. It says you're on his mind. It says he finds comfort in watching you just exist. It says that being near you, even in silence, is something he cherishes. In a world full of noise and distraction, his silent gaze becomes a language of its own. And even if he never puts it into words, that quiet look, held in the spaces between laughter and conversation, is love in its rawest, most unguarded form. Not spoken, not explained, just felt, deeply and honestly, in the way his eyes find you when he thinks you'll never see.